Well, hello everybody. Welcome to What's Week This Week. And we'll be getting right back to you right after this oh so freaking important commercial freaking message. And hopefully that'll get us beyond it. We'll see though. Okay, so lately the alternative news world has been all abuzz over the fact that the FBI has named people who pay cash for a cup of coffee as possible terrorist suspects. A lot of people think that this is over the top or unrealistic somehow. I have to say that I disagree, however. If there is anything that's going to make me commit some violent terrorism, it's me, Mr. Love 'em and Leave 'em, quick in, quick out, $5 bill in hand, waiting in line at Starbucks, while some lady digs through the wreck and ruin of her size of a freaking storage unit purse in order to find her checkbook to pay for a $4 cup of coffee. And then, of course, the search for a pen begins, and the inevitable chit-chat with the cashier while you search for it. I'm sure that your cat did do the cutest damn thing the other day, and I imagine under normal circumstances, it would be a really amusing freaking anecdote of absolutely monumental freaking proportions. The thing is, though, I'm just trying to get a cup of coffee and be on my way, and so I can keep my eyes open at work while I labor for my corporate masters doing boring, pointless shit that's nearly as uninspiring as the numbers on the paychecks to give me that they do give me whenever they figure that there's no more cream to be sucked off the top of the watered down, sour ass bottom of the bucket milk that those numbers represent. So, look, lady, that was pretty amusing what your cat did, but right, so of course the pen's out of ink and you'll have to look for another one. Wonderful. Somebody who can hear my voice, would you please get this woman a pen? Somebody pull out a knife and sharpen a coffee bean that she can write with. Anything. You, suit and tie boy. Yeah, you. You have an iPhone. Give her that to write with. Oh, what do you mean that won't work? Are you telling me that your Swiss Army dildo with 8 billion apps that can access a network of communication satellites spanning the entire freaking globe can send your text message to the Speak and Spell owned by an underage Asian hooker in Guam with the touch of a freaking button, but it doesn't even have a pen that can transfer this woman's signature to a paper check just inches away from us? Please work with me, people. I'm just trying to get to work. The sooner I get there, the sooner I can leave. Excuse me. Get back to my fat, ugly wife, my cystic fluoride-riddled children, drink myself into a stupor on Pabst Blue Ribbon piss water that apparently has won awards, hence the blue ribbon. And all the while watching Dancing with the Lost Bachelor stars who have American talent or some god-awful shit like that, and hopefully slip into a dreamless stupor in time to get up early and do it all over again. So I'm sure you can all understand that if I can't take my own life, because for some reason that's just gotta be a sin, I'd at least like to get on with this. Now, okay, so you found your pen. Okay, wonderful. No need to apologize. Just sign the check. Just sign the freaking check. I'm fine. Just right. I'm fine. So, yeah. I can actually see where the FBI has a certain point there. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about preparedness today. War with Iran seems to be looming on the horizon, and now Pakistan has declared that the U.S. and that if the U.S. and Israel go to war with Iran, it will be on Iran's side. And as we all know, Pakistan has nuclear weapons, so you do have to be prepared. And all jokes aside, it's really, really important. Personally, I was really lucky that I was at an auction a couple of days ago, and it was a government auction. Included was a bunch of stuff from the local school district, and I did manage to pick up an old school desk from the 1950s elementary school classroom, so now all I have to do is duck and I'm covered in case of a nuclear attack. Of course, I also have my saran wrap and duct tape ready to go in case of chemical attacks, and I have a 4-leaf clover, so I'm covered on bullets and grenades as well. Thank God you can't grow clover in the desert, or the Iraq War never would have ended. I'm pretty sure that's why the U.S. has never invaded Ireland. The Brits, of course, found out about that shit. You've got to stock up on food too, of course. So I got myself a boxcar worth of top ramen buried in the backyard. And more importantly, I also got myself a ton of ding-dongs and Diet Coke. That's not really for myself, actually. I'm going to use that to lure fat chicks into my bunker. Don't get me wrong, I'm not really into fat chicks, but they do have built-in food reserves, and I figure that by the time the war is over, the ding-dongs will be long gone. I'll have a harem of girls that look like bulimic runway models. And the point is, they'll still be alive. Hold up in your bunker with a skinny girl, and you just can't guarantee that. You'll end up going out, and you'll be like, damn, I left the bunker like 30 minutes ago to find some food. I come back, she's already dead. Now I gotta bury her before the fat chicks find her. So be prepared, people, or it'll just be me and my harem of Callista Flockhearts left to repopulate the world with our glowing, blue-eyed, glass, spider-like offspring skittering hither and yon to rebuild society out of empty ding-dong wrappers and some silk-like substance, possibly. The American Psychiatric Association this week has announced that it's soon to release its 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, often abbreviated DSM. Now, this is a manual that some call the Bible of psychiatric diagnosis. Excuse me one moment. Some people have been critical of the new edition, saying that it stigmatizes rather normal behaviors, such as shyness and unwillingness to talk in social situations, and children who are defiant of their parents' will. Of even greater concern, however, is that some of the diagnoses already being planned for the 6th edition are including Schadenfreude, deja vu, being a copycat, joy, boredom, tattletaling, and lackadaisical friendship syndrome, a disorder typified by an inability to show appropriate enthusiasm when a friend shows you their home videos or pictures of their children. As of yet, there has been no final decision as to whether a similar disdain of coworkers' child pictures and home videos will qualify as a symptom as well, with some psychiatrists arguing that such a symptom should be classified under an entirely separate syndrome with its own distinct toxic cocktail of medications required to control but not cure it. Clip taken from a BBC report this week on child poverty in the U.S. has been making the rounds on the internet. It's been under the title American Children Eating Rats to Live. The special doesn't explore the exact number of children that may be eating rats as a part of their diet, but it did in fact show one child who said her mother had eaten rat on at least one occasion. Due to the report, U.S. nutritionists are warning that a diet of nothing but rat meat may be unhealthy and are warning parents to make sure their children's meals are balanced to include the other food groups, namely GMO crops, BPAs, and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. My mouth's watering now. A diplomat's been arrested in an airport in Pakistan, an American diplomat that is, this week when he tried to board a plane to Islamabad with 13 bullets in his luggage. As it turns out, it's actually perfectly legal to carry bullets on to a flight in Pakistan, but 13 is considered an unlucky number. The GOP is receiving further criticism over caucus results, this time in the state of Maine. Apparently, many of the results reported by caucus leaders do not match the numbers listed by the GOP. In addition, more than one district was eliminated from the final tallies altogether. Some Ron Paul supporters believe that this is the result of a blatant effort to keep Ron Paul from winning the Maine GOP caucus. All I've got to say is, come on, GOP, you're never going to be invited out for drinks at election time if you get a reputation as a bunch of caucus blockers. On Wednesday, today, Dave Mustaine, a former Metallica guitarist who founded the heavy metal band Megadeth, joined a side that has historically been a mortal foe of his kind, the Christian right. In an interview with Music Radar, Mustaine endorsed the GOP's resident religious ideologue, Rick Santorum, saying he was impressed that Santorum left the trail to be with his sick daughter and kept his distance from the Mitt character savagery. Considering the kinds of things that conservative Christians had to say about hard music in the 1980s and 90s, it might seem that Mustaine, 50 years old now, is trying to love his enemies. Religious antipathy towards rock music goes all the way back to the Beatles and beyond, but the attacks on Mustaine's genre were particularly passionate. Conservative Christian books and magazines overflowed with the warnings to parents about the dangerous influence of heavy metal, citing everything from satanic symbols on album covers to subliminal messages to supposedly demonic effects of the rock beat. Metallica and Marilyn Manson were among the leading cultural villains, tempting the youth of America towards subversive movements like the game Magic the Gathering and Wiccanism. Some political observers commented that Mustaine has effectively made himself the dingleberry floating on Santorum's frothy mixture of political and religious ideology. In business news this week, a Chinese technology firm that claims it owns the iPad trademark is planning on seeking a ban on exports of Apple computer tablets from China, a lawyer for the company has said. If successful, the move could deal a blow to the U.S. tech giant's iPad sales nationwide. Not only is China a huge consumer market, but it is a major production base for the U.S. company's products, including the iPad, iPhone, and iPod. In addition to the trademark dispute laid out in the lawsuit, the Chinese company is also claiming that Apple has repeatedly infringed on its patent on desperately suicidal factory workers. The Greek Parliament early Monday approved new harsh austerity legislature needed to secure a 130 billion euro bailout from the EU and the IMF. 199 MP voted in favor of the bill and will cut thousands of public sector jobs and decrease the minimum wage by 20%. The vote was met by public refusal as hundreds of thousands marched to the Syntagma Square to protest against the passing of the law. Demonstrations turned violent as protesters clashed with riot police, leaving hundreds injured and tens of buildings in flames. At one point, a branch manager of a bank that had been set on fire by the rioting crowds and a member of the Greek Parliament as well became trapped on the rooftop of the four-story bank. In a show of goodwill, Greek firefighters who've seen massive funding cuts were quick to respond. Unable to get a ladder truck through the crowds of protesters, they stretched out a blanket between them and told the banker to jump into it. As the bank manager jumped, the firefighters moved and the banker died immediately when he struck the pavement. The firefighters then told the member of the Greek Parliament to jump, and the member of Parliament refused, saying, "I saw what you did to the banker. Just put the blanket on the ground and step away from it." Officials announced that the men's funerals will be held separately. Okay, and that's all I've got today for this week's What's Week This Week. Once again, brought to you by 12160.info. That's 12160.info. Until next week, just remember, everybody, the answer to 1984 is 1995 plus shipping and handling. Thanks, and have a good one.